Bring in Democratic Senator Bill Nelson of Florida, a senior member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. He just returned from a trip to Ukraine. He also announced just yesterday he'll file legislation when Congress returns next week that would give President Obama clear authority to order airstrikes against ISIS in Syria. Sir, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure you've heard the comments we just played from some of your Democratic colleagues in the Senate. The president having this key meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan. What do you believe is the critical information or critical needs that need to be met as the president has this meeting and attempts to bring in a coalition of the willing, as we like to say here, regarding this ISIS and the ongoing threat?
You put your finger on it, Tamron. Bring in the coalition. That not only includes those from NATO who are affected, and how are they affected? Well, there are a bunch of Europeans that are in Syria getting trained by ISIS to go back into Europe. Likewise, about 100 Americans that are getting training that we've got to track to make sure they don't do the terrorist acts back in the Western world. But in the meantime, the president can now build on the success that he's had in northern Iraq and Kurdistan. He started August the 25th, the surveillance flights over Syria. I believe he has the authority, the constitutional authority, to go on an attack. But this is not a 1 or 2 day thing, as your discussion had pointed out. This is going to be for the long haul, and that's why the Congress needs to weigh in on this and give the authority under the Constitution to the president. Are you concerned? I know that you've said the president has had a measured response in dealing with ISIS. You've praised him for that measured response. How concerned, though, are you that, again, you have Republicans and now some Democrats who are urging what they call a more decisive action, but many believe that essentially boots in the ground and war is imminent? Well, you have to go after the head of the snake, and the snake is in Syria. That's going to mean many, many things. Now, the initial boots on the ground can be the Free Syrian Army, which, as we speak, is fighting ISIS as well as fighting President Assad. But over time, you're going to have to be surgical in your strikes. That may involve our special operations forces, such as SEALs and the Delta Force. It can involve many things. You don't want to hamstring the president to get the job done, and that is to cut off the head of the snake. And let me transition to Ukraine. As I mentioned, you were just there. A columnist, Jonathan Alter, wrote this about the crisis. Says this is really Obama's moment of truth, saying if he can lead now on ISIS and Putin, we'll soon forget his recent history. With that said, what do you believe is the most effective way to deal with this ongoing crisis, as you've witnessed firsthand in Ukraine, and you have confidence that Vladimir Putin is a willing partner in reaching a ceasefire here? I don't think you can count on Putin. Just nail that one down. Your other question is, I asked that of the government of Ukraine when I was there, and surprising, I thought they wanted guns and ammo. What they want is up-to-the-minute intelligence as well as training for their army. That should be coming forthwith. Senator Nelson, thank you so much for your time, sir. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And coming up,
Thanks,
inside